Eventually the Arundels, who had kind of branched out, they'd got other estates, they'd married into other families, and they left Trerice. And so there's a long period from really the 1700s through to the early 1800s where there were just various owners, and we assume that at the time the place fell into disrepair. There was a chap then called Thomas Dyke Ackland, whose family came from Killerton and the Honeycutt estates in North Devon. And he inherited the place from the Arundels, so it wasn't sold, but he inherited the place, and he was an antiquarian. He loved sketching farms and various buildings like churches, so very vernacular interests, and he actually was responsible for resurgence and interest in Trerice. And again, I come back to this space here and the space upstairs that he restored. And I have to put that almost in inverted commas because we've done paint analysis of this room. We've got the date 1572 up there, but how much is this an antiquarian's fantasy and how much of it is original, we don't know. We've got very little evidence of original paint colours on the overmantels, so it suggests that it has been quite overhauled. We know that in the 1700s the place was dilapidated. There are various accounts and some pictures of the outside of the house with a wing that matches the one on this side that had just crumbled on my right here. And we know from inventories and from details about the chimneys here from various periods that the house was originally much bigger and probably had a wing that extended towards the barn there to form almost a quadrangle in the back here. So Thomas Dyke Ackland restored this room in the Great Chamber, and he achieved a lot of praise for his restoration here. He didn't live here, he just used it as a power base. He recreated the idea of minstrel's gallery here. We assume that there was a wooden structure there in that screens passage, and that and it's mainly rotten or had dilapidated or fallen down or been taken away, and so he created this masonry part here. So we're left in a bit of a conundrum here. As you can imagine, as the story of most houses goes, that we have a series of spaces and stories from different times, but we are at a point now where we're trying to tell a really honest story and have a really clear narrative for our visitors that goes through their experience here, that tells that story of loyalty to the crown from the 1600s and 1700s, and then the rags to riches nature of various families that came on there. I mean, it's a classic story that you get to other places. But you'll see along the tour here that what you see doesn't necessarily add up to all of those stories there.